Hello there everyone, I'm Christina at CSLdesigns, and in today's video we're going to be doing the second vlog, and I kind of just thought I would take you along for maybe the next couple of days or so, because I kind of plan out a little bit ahead what I'm doing, not particularly exactly or anything, but it's just the next couple of days I'm going to be kind of focusing on filming some videos, some tutorials, so I kind of thought I'd take you along for the ride. Now this time what I have is I kind of rediscovered some old designs that I made many years ago, but I never actually released, that's some of them anyway. So I kind of thought, why don't I just bring them back and kind of actually make tutorials for them, because I do like them. I don't know why I never did, but here we are. So what I like to do as well is kind of prep my recording sessions, you could say. So I plan out which tutorials I'm going to be filming in this next recording session. That'll probably take a few days or so, and I then get most of the materials ready as well beforehand, like beads, cabochons, whatever it is. The wire I can just grab as I need it, but I kind of figured that's what we would do first. So I have all the pieces that I'm looking at out, and I'll show you. So this is what I'm looking at. Some of them here are fairly recent. These are from when I tried the gallery wire, so those you might recognize, but the rest of them I have never released. So this one I actually originally made for my Wire Kumihimo book, but it was kind of weeded out as we were picking and choosing between some of the designs. So that one is an option. Now with that I was thinking, let me just grab the wire. I was a little bit debating about using some pre-twisted or different wire, because this one here, this is many years ago obviously, I twisted the wire myself and then used it, which obviously you could do, but since then I've gotten a couple decorative wires. Here there's some pre-twisted wires, some square and possibly just square. And this is some wire, but that has like hammered texture on it, which I think is really lovely. So I was considering maybe trying to use that instead, but obviously you could still use a twisted wire, but then using decorative wire could be an option as well. So that's something I'm considering. And then we have the other pieces here. We have, what should we look at first? Let's look at these earrings. These are, well, they're all from a fair few years ago, I don't need to keep saying that. These are some wire crochet earrings I made a long time ago, where these cabochons in the middle are actually from a bead box that I got again many years ago, and I ended up using for this, and I think it's really lovely. I'm really pleased with how these came out. I ended up adding some dangles. Those beads are also from the box, so I kind of really want to make a tutorial for these. The only thing is I don't have any more of these cabochons, so I either need to search through my cabochons to see if I can find anything like it, or I need to see about buying some, because I do actually really like these anyway. So maybe some different colors as well. So those I might not be able to film right now because I might need to buy the cabochons first, but I do really like these earrings. Then we have some more wire crochet. This is a set actually, bracelets and rings that I came up with while playing around with some wire crochet designs, and I really like how they came out. I think they're very elegant looking, and they're kind of quite complicated looking as well, but like most of my designs, once you actually make them, they aren't that complicated. They're not as complicated as they look anyway. So, and that's both a ring and a bracelet design. That could be 2 tutorials. So I should have beads to be able to use for this, so I might have a look through and see what I have. I could make a tutorial for that. And we have these ones I really like as well. I don't think I've even showed them anywhere. Well, actually I would have done, because these were also from a bead box back in the day, where the beads came in a box and I ended up doing this design around them. I really like that too, but I'm pretty sure I never made a tutorial for it. So I might see about doing that. Again, I would have to just have a look for beads, see if I have anything I can use. I think that I should be able to find something, because I do have a fair bit, but you know, you never know. It doesn't have to be the exact same size, so I'll have a look. Anyway, what's that? And we do also have this, to be honest. This is also Waikimihimo. This is actually from a magazine design that I did back when I was contributing to a magazine, where I basically turned a Waikimihimo braid into a hat. This is just a little hat on its own. I did make a whole set of jewelry with them, but the basic principle is just a hat, and then you can make pieces based off of that. So that could also become a possible tutorial maybe, since that's a long time ago and the magazines don't actually exist anymore. So we have a few things to work off of. I need to find some materials, definitely some cabochons here. Can look at some beads for these pieces. See if I have any oval, fairly flat shaped beads for that. I could have a look and see if I have any similar kind of cabochons here. It doesn't have to be the exact same because you can always make it in different sizes, but have a little look and then maybe look for some different beads to possibly make a couple of pieces of this. So I think we've got to do that next. Check out some beads and some cabochons just to kind of see the situation I'm in, what we can actually make now as opposed to maybe something I have to order. So I think I'm just going to start looking at cabochons, because I'm positive I'll be able to find some for the gallery wire at least. So I keep all my cabochons in this tub here, and if I just bring those in, what do we need? So I also just want to take into account the kind of cabochon I'm looking for. So obviously the shape, the size, the thickness, that kind of thing. So this could be, I would say, ovals and teardrop shape is what I'd be looking for mostly. But I want to, especially with the silver one there, I want to make sure that it's fairly thin, the cabochon, because that specific gallery wire is a little bit narrower than, say, a wider one. So got to keep that in mind. This one, I also don't want this to be too thick, but it also doesn't have to be really thin. So I think let's have a look what we got. So this is usually kind of just what I do. I bring it out and then I just look through and see what catches my eye that fits the criteria that I'm looking for, but then that would look nice with the other materials, so in this case the wire. And then I also take into account sometimes, most of the time really, what would look good on camera or in pictures and things like that, kind of what would stand out more. So there's a lot of things to think about. So let's have a little look. I'll just open them all out. So the wire for this one here is a copper one. So it's silver and copper. It could really be any color of cabochon. It's just also a lot of time depends on what I feel in the moment. So obviously there's a possibility of using the similar stone, which I have loads of different ones of them. Some thicker, some thinner. I think they're pretty much all oval, but they're different sizes and stuff like that. But I kind of also don't want to do the same, because if I want to have a couple different variations for a thumbnail, like magazine pictures and stuff like that. I think I'll just show you my view. So this is what I'm looking at. So I'm taking into account this wire specifically right now. It's a copper. And like I said, this can be a little bit thicker than the other one, but I still don't want it too thick. So I think something like this could be lovely, and especially with the copper as well. Nice bright blue colours. There's quite a few different ones of those. And purple is always a good choice for copper. Goes really well. I have some druzy ones there. I've never actually used them for anything. I just stole them. I collect them, you could say. Anyway, it's also a classic black that can always be used. Something like this, a little bit more on the natural side. Could actually be kind of nice. Like this one here, that would actually be quite nice as well with that copper wire. Interesting. Right, for this one I want to make sure that the cabochon is on the thinner side, because obviously you can see the width of it is really what in this case ends up capturing it. So really mainly on the front. The back we capture with wire, because this is just straight on one side of the gallery wire there. and then we have the design on the other side. So we're basically using that side with the design on to slightly grab onto the cabochon from the front. And this that I have is silver. This wood, I do love all the, like I said, silver and copper will go with anything, but sometimes there's certain colors where I'm like, that was silver or that was copper is just an extra touch that I really like. Like these blue ones with like a nice silver like this, is just, there's something different about it. It's just kind of like a pow. I really like that. And blue and silver also have a tendency to just naturally be very elegant looking, I think. And I think the thicknesses of these are right. I think of what I used for this one. And they are also fairly tapered, so the sides there, they go in pretty quickly, so it's not like you have kind of a straight edge first and then it curves over further up. It starts curving pretty much from the base, if that makes any sense. Purple and silver is also absolutely beautiful together and so elegant. So this could very well be an option. The only thing I just want to think about is the shape as well. Do I want to stick with the teardrop shape or maybe do an oval one? That is the question. I do also have a couple of kind of compartments here where it's literally a mix of cabochons, different stones and everything. Ones that have been sent to me over the years. So a lot to go through there. Right, so I've narrowed it down. I haven't fully decided the final ones because I'm not really sure yet. I'll show you what I have. So for the copper wire, I've narrowed it down to these two here. I'm not really sure. I kind of leaning more towards that for the gemstone, but obviously this is the same shape. It doesn't have to be the same shape. Obviously I can make it teardrop shape. So that's what's kind of tearing me between these two. I think wire-wise, kind of keep coming back to this. But that's the two I narrowed down for that. And for the silver wire, looks like that. I have narrowed it down to these three, which is even better. So I keep kind of coming back to this the most because of the color and the stone, and that with the silver wire would be so beautiful. But again, that's oval, whereas the other two are teardrop shape, which is the same as that. Again, it doesn't have to be that exact shape. It can be the other shape. I'm obviously just thinking about the tutorial and stuff as well. So these are the other two. Again, would also both be really beautiful with that wire. Especially this one. I haven't actually really used these, but these are some of my favorite ones. Dendritic opal or agate. I really love it. And that will be so nice looking with that wire because it's so elegant. And then putting them together, I think that would be beautiful. But I also just really like the thought of that being a little bit more contrasty because it's quite dark compared, and then you get even more of like an impact from the silver wire. And a little bit tricky. So that's what I've narrowed them down to. So actually I could just bring in the wire, maybe. You can kind of imagine what it would be like then. So I think I'm just going to leave it there for now. I'm going to come back to it, but I'm just going to look at some of the other things first. But I'm not sure which one. Should we grab the beads and have a look at which ones more color wise for these that we could choose, and then see if I have enough of what I would want to do. So let's just grab those beads. So them I keep in this little container. Again, these are kind of just beads that I got from several different bead boxes back in the day when I was getting those sent to me. So I think these are 4mm. I think it's got to be here. These are 3mm then. These are smaller ones that I've used. You could use 4mm, but why not just stick with what I already made. Let me just grab my little pick and mix scoop. Perfect for beads and whatnot. Right, so like I said, these are all mixed, so I have to kind of go through them and see what kind of jumps out at me. Plus I have to think about what wire I'm using, so which colors obviously will go together, although both silver and copper go with most things, but still I like to think about it. Alright, so let's have a little look. Also think about the ones I already made, so I don't make the same thing basically, or too similar. So we have silver and red, and we have copper and purple. So I don't want to kind of choose the same colors if I can help it. What else do we have here? So I picked out a bunch of those silver ones here, and I counted how many I have on the bracelet and the ring, matching of course. That's 37, and I have more than 37 here, and there's still more silver ones in there and in the little tube. So that should be fine. I can choose the silver and then match that with copper wire. I think that would be lovely. So I think that's the plan for both, obviously the bracelet and the ring. I'm gonna put these back in. I'll see about leaving the silver ones out because there's no point in separating them again, but I'll just put them in something until I use them, because they will get lost otherwise, especially with two little babies. So I just put them in this little bag for now, kind of way oversized that it needs to be, but it's all I had handy just at the moment. Doesn't need to be for very long anyway. Put this away, and next I think let's look for some flattish ovals for these earrings here. So I definitely want to see about making these as soon as. I really like this design. Also it can be very elegant, especially depending on the materials. So for that we need to get the other tubes out with beads in. And I do know though that I don't have loads of this shape of beads, so I'm just going to have to see what I have. I do have some specific ones in mind that I know I have. The only thing is if they'll suit the project. I know they're a bit bigger, but then I'm also just going to look see if I have any that I kind of forgot about. Not in that one. It's gotta be in here then. Right, let's see. Anything on top? Doesn't seem like it. Let's just have a look anyway. Sometimes multiple different things are in one compartment because, you know, space. But let's have a look at the next level. No. I hope I do have at least the ones I'm thinking of, and I haven't maybe used them and just forgot about it. Not looking promising. That looks like it's actually the case. That's disappointing if that's the case. Well, that's a little bit of a problem. I pretty much only have round beads, which, I mean, is what I use like 95 to 99% of the time, but I know I did have the beads I'm thinking of. I must just have used them and not realized. I just maybe thought, I know I'd used them, I just maybe thought I had a couple of each of them left, each of the colours, but I must be mistaken. It doesn't appear like it. I'm not seeing anything flat oval related. And I don't keep beads anywhere else. I have a tub of those where it's just hematite, but there isn't that shape in there. I know that they're only rounds and a couple of things, but nothing like flat oval related. I guess the option could be to undo one of them and then basically redo it with that bead. So I was hoping to have some so I could like remake them first and refamiliarize myself with the design, because it's many years ago since I made it. And then on one of them, maybe, because if I'm making earrings, then the second one to match I would then use for the tutorial. But I don't appear to have any. Might go through some old jewelry and see if there's any beads I can maybe undo any pieces. Anyway, that is the other option though, is to maybe undo one of these and then redo it basically. I'll see what happens with that. Next is question of this one. Now, obviously this is like a necklace which could be made, but I was also thinking making it into a bracelet. It's the same thing, just obviously a bit longer and then shaping it. That's maybe what I would do for the tutorial, make it a bracelet. It's just a matter of what beads to use. Now the thing as well is I made these using a wooden dowel that I kind of made myself, like a little tool type thing. So I just got to make sure the size of the beads fits with that wooden dowel or whatever it is I'm going to use for the core while I'm making the braid. Because once you make the braid first around the dowel with the wire, and then afterwards you feed the beads in. So obviously they have to fit. If they're too big, they're not going to fit inside. So I'm just going to see if I still have that dowel, because again, this is very old. So, more bad news. I either don't have it anymore or I don't know where it is. So I could use some of this instead, because it doesn't really matter what it is. So it could really be anything random you have around the house. This came in that, it's a, I forgot what it's called. It's basically a little file on the inside there where it's just the end of a wire that you cut off to kind of just smooth it so it's not so sharp. So there is that, I would make the braid around that. Or this is from a tool that I have where you basically can wind yarn around it and make jump rings or coils, whatever. So that would probably be a better option. It's also pretty nice size. It's a little on the small side maybe. Obviously I can't stick it through here to find out if it's the same, but I'm not sure what size it is. See if I can. It does actually look like it might be 6mm, which I was thinking it looks like. So obviously this will determine the inside circumference of this tube that's going to end up being made, and that's going to determine what size beads will fit in it. So this could be an option. It's also got a nice length, so obviously, especially if we wanted to make a bracelet instead, it's going to be a bit longer than this. So I could possibly use this, and then it's just a matter of picking out the beads. Again, it also depends what wire I'm using. Is it silver? Is it copper? Is it some of this other stuff that I was looking at before? That is the question. Am I twisting my own wire? I see what I have quite a few different 6mm beads, I know that. So I definitely should be able to find something there. I also have all the hematite ones, which tend to have larger holes. That's why hematite is one of my favourite stones and beads. So they tend to be more generous with holes. Obviously if you need to add thicker wire or anything through, So the question is what beads I want to use. Now obviously, like I said, I have to fit size wise. There you go. Look further down. These would be obvious ones. Yep, I do have some smaller 6mm ones because they would be really nice because they're quite bright. You can kind of see them properly. Cover my face. They're quite bright and intense in the colour, and then say matched up with silver wire, because obviously they're going to be inside, so you're not going to see the full bead as if it was exposed completely. But I think it'll be a nice contrast having the silver wire on the outside and then those beads and that flash of colour just kind of peeking through with the braid running all the way along. So I think that could be a good choice. That was maybe quick and easy for once, unlike all the others. I think I'm just going to stick with that. No point in making it more complicated than it has to be. Yep, we're doing that. Right, so I guess most of this is not as straightforward as I kind of maybe thought it was. I was thinking I have ready-made designs is ready to go. I just need to film them. Oh yeah, I don't have most of the materials. Anyway, mainly because I also would like to kind of just use what I have and not really have to buy too much, if anything at all. So I guess that one could be done. Just a question if I have anything I could use for these, or whether I just want to see about getting those cabochons maybe in some other colours. So, update. I have been spending some time rummaging back around my stuff to see if I could find anything, and I've been looking through some old jewellery as well to see if just the jewellery that I'm like not going to do anything with, or prototypes and things like that, to see if there was anything there I could use. So where are we at? I was mainly looking for the flat ovals for the earrings here, and I haven't found something exactly like I'm looking for. So basically exactly like this, obviously the size and shape. But what I did find was something I made again a long time ago, and I know this was from a bead box as well, where I just tried using the things in a bead box to make some things with. So I found this where I used these little my face so the camera can focus, flat ovals, and made a chain out of them, making little kind of Celtic inspired links there. And they are flat ovals, so I do actually have a spare link, which I'm guessing is probably just the first one I made, and where I then turn the rest of them into the chain. I'm not sure why, but so I have one spare one there, but otherwise I could just take one off of here and reuse the beads. The only thing is these are a fair bit smaller than the originals, so obviously there is that. So that's what I'm a little bit unsure of that. Then I found these. Get them out. Again, I'm pretty positive these came from a bead box back in the day. 2 flat rounds. I was about to say ovals then, I mean rounds. That are a pretty good size if I compare to one of the ovals. So they are kind of the same size, obviously in one direction, and then they're just round instead of oval. So I was thinking that could maybe be a possibility to kind of also just show that the design could work for more than just one shape. Obviously I haven't actually made it on the round, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. So that could be a possibility. They've got a nice size to them, and then they're also nice and flat. So they could be a possibility that I'm kind of thinking could also be kind of interesting. And there's 2. So again, I could make a pair of earrings, and then I make one first for myself and before I make the tutorial, and then I use the other one to then obviously make in a tutorial, which is what I prefer to do anyway. So I kind of know what I'm doing because I've obviously made them before, but it's so long ago that I'm a little bit unsure of it, so I'll just need to kind of re-memorize the design and stuff and how to make it properly so I can come across confident as well in the tutorial. So there's that, and then lastly I found these not really ovals all round or anything, well, I guess you could say angled ovals, and they're also a little flat. They are chunkier than the others, but still flat in relation to having the same size all over. So, and they're a little bit bigger, kind of, they're just a little bit chunkier overall if I compare. But again, I don't see why the design wouldn't work on them. So that is kind of the situation I'm in. So I think these are my least favorite option. I think just because of the size. I'm also thinking, when I think about these things, is I want to make sure what I'm doing is not maybe too small. So the smaller it is, the harder it'll be to see and be able to show it properly. So if I'm using one of the kind of slightly bigger ones, that'll be easier to see as well, which is obviously the whole point of the tutorial. So I'm basically currently standing between the flat round that I found, which is also a lovely colour, obviously purple, you know, me with purple everything, but it's a bit on the darker side, so say using the silver wire, I think for that one would be a nice contrast and make the design stand up nicely. But that one would also work because again, like light blue and any blue always work perfectly with silver. So I'm not sure about these two. Now I just got to do a little bit of thinking about that. Let me know what you would choose. Obviously meant for this design. Let me just show it to you properly. That's the front and then the back. So yeah, but then there's also, in relation to this, the dilemma of these round ones, because I haven't really found any perfect ones for these earrings other than maybe just buying a few of the actual cabochons in some other colours, which is tempting, but I ideally don't want to buy things if I don't have to. These round ones actually could fit perfectly for that design, because just because they're beads doesn't mean you have to use the hole. So if I compare, they're actually pretty perfect in size. So yeah, does that mean I should use these round flat ones for these earrings and then by default use the angular ovals for these earrings, or what? Just to kind of have a solution to all of it rather than to some of it. Because of course I do have these, but I'm just least keen on this option, I think, because they are a fair bit smaller. Although it would still be nice and it would still work fine. For these originally, it's definitely 0.6mm used for the base wire and then 0.25 for the weaving wire, so I wouldn't really go any smaller in relation to the wires that I would use. So it would kind of be the same look of the wire work of it, but just with a smaller bead. So basically less of the bead would show, is what you could say, because the wire I would use would be the same. So I don't know, I'm not fully ruling these out. I don't know what to do. It's amazing how often I get into these situations where I really struggle making the decisions on what to use. It happens more than I would like. Anyway, I have these options. I can do a little bit more thinking. While I was looking at my old stuff, I came across a couple of designs that I completely forgot existed. And I thought I'd just show them to you. So this one I first saw, just a little kind of wire work bracelet. Again, all of these I'm pretty sure were also made from materials that came with bead boxes, where I just kind of, the goal was to try and use kind of as much of the materials in the boxes as possible and come up with designs. So this is different from a bead box, and I just use, these are actually 2-hole beads where I turn it into like a little wirework rose bracelet, but where I have kind of little vines, should we call it, between the roses, if it would focus on that instead of me. So in a way I kind of think it's pretty cute, and I'm pretty positive I've never done a tutorial quite for this design or anything. It actually reminds me of a tutorial that's fairly recent, I think the end of last year, for a fidget ring that I did. It reminds me a little bit of that, which to be honest, I could connect it to that and it could be a fidget bracelet if I wanted to. Anyway, the next one I found was this. Again, I have made the main design for this before and I have done a tutorial for that, so the wire kumhimu part. But this one I added beads along the edges as well for extra colour sparkle. And I'm kind of thinking I haven't done a tutorial for that part though. So as in this could kind of be its own standalone design and maybe do a tutorial for this full thing. Obviously I'll be using some other materials because this was originally stuff from a bead box like I said. But that could be an option as well. And then just for fun I came across this. This is also from a bead box. I do remember really liking this bead when I saw it. It's kind of one of those that has like a glow to it. And I literally was just playing around where I kind of wanted to capture the bead. I don't really do designs like this. It's kind of not what comes naturally to me, but I wanted to try and give it a little bit of a shot, I guess, and capturing the bead and making some kind of whatever design around it. And I do think there's something pretty about it, but I don't really know. It kind of makes me think it should be a brooch. That's what it's telling me. But anyway, I just saw that. I wanted to share it. So yeah, I think that's the situation we're in. Basically, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to get to filming and recording any tutorials today anyway because of the time it is. It's a little bit late in the day. And I'm going to then call it quits for the work day and then go down and join the husband on the sofa while we continue watching, I forget what it was called. I was going to say it's a Korean, it's a Japanese show that we started watching. Ever since the original Squid Game, we've gotten really hooked on Korean shows and things like that, and obviously now Japanese as well apparently. They do some good stuff. But anyway, that's what we're going to be watching tonight. I'll probably tell you tomorrow because I can't remember what it's called right now. Anyway, I have a little bit of thinking to do and maybe some playing around, because what I might do is the angular oval ones, I might use one to basically try and remake the design, see how it comes out, and if I like it. If I like it, I'll just use the other one for that tutorial. And then I have the ovals, the rounds for this. And all I would need to do with that is just find some beads to match to dangle from the bottom, which that'll be easy. I can either, because I can use anything for that, whether it's bicones like this or rounds, whatever. So that might be the plan, what I should do. And then I'll probably get on with, once I sort that out, which will be today, tomorrow, I'll get on with filming then. I just need to know what I'm going to be filming before I start, so I have a plan before I go in. Because I kind of like to go in knowing what I'm doing, so I can just kind of get on with it and get it done with, rather than be in the middle and be like, oh no, I don't really know what I did there, what do I do there. So that's the plan, I guess. So I'll see you on the other side of that, maybe tomorrow.
Bye. Bye. Love you, toe.
My precious. What's this? So hello there. Today is a different day, but I have an update for you. So of course I couldn't just choose the beads I was going to use before making anything, so I ended up doing it with all of them. So I think the first one I did was used the small bead, and that ended up looking like that, and I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So I could definitely use some small beads for it, just in comparison to the originals that I made. That's the difference, so you can see just a bit smaller. And then there were the larger beads and chunkier as well, and I was debating about that, but I also had those round beads to possibly do instead. So these ones, I ended up not using these, as you can see, because I was thinking these would also be perfect for those other wire crochet earrings. So I kind of maybe wanted to try and save them for that, even though I also think it could be nice with this design with round beads. But whatever. So I also ended up using those other larger, chunkier beads, and I've actually used both of them. So I have the full set, and I've also filmed a tutorial with this. So I made one first after I made the small one, and then I used the other bead to then film the tutorial with. So I have actually also filmed it. Oops, that was the wrong way. So I've also filmed the tutorial now, except the intro and outro, because I have no clue what to call this design. I literally been trying to think and I can't think of anything. All that's coming to my mind is kind of like elegant wirework earrings, but it's not really a name for the design, I think. That's just a description. So I think I'm going to have to ask for help for that. See if anyone has any ideas, because I'm pretty blank. That's often a problem of mine, is thinking of names for my designs. I tend to kind of just go with obvious things because that's how my brain works. I'm not very creative on that front of the process. But these I'm just pretty stumped, so I think I'm going to have to ask for some help, some suggestions. But otherwise, the tutorial is filmed except for the intro and outro, and of course the B-roll and pictures and stuff like that. The main part is done, I guess. So that's the update on those beads. And then also, like I said, I have these still. I didn't use them, so I could use them for the tutorial for the wire crochet earrings. So I might just see about doing that. Make one first so I remember what it was that I did, and then can easily use the other one to then film the tutorial. And of course choose the beads that I'm missing for that, but I'm sure I can find something that I have. So that's the update on that. And otherwise, today I've had my breakfast. I was pretty rough this morning when I got up. I guess not had the best night's sleep. I never do, but it was particularly a bit worse. And I have a couple of orders to pack actually. So I think let's do that first, because then maybe my husband can get off and get them shipped. He's gonna just nip out anyway. So I think there's 3 orders, but I think one is digital. So that would obviously make 2 to pack, if I'm correct. Yeah, I would say one is digital, yep. And the other 2 are products. One is a bracelet, and the other is 2 bracelets and a signed copy of my book. So let's see about getting that sorted. I think I'm just going to film some shorts / reels or whatever you want to call it, TikToks, whatever, for the order packing as well. So I'll get on with that before we then do anything else. And print. and print and print and print. I knew it, I was right. Well, it might actually help if I put some paper in the printer. Huh. Shit, I think I'm out of paper. I didn't think that one through. So, I managed to find some more paper in the other printer. Lucky having more than one printer. So yeah, we can print now. But I will have to get some more paper sooner rather than later. So the packages are done. They've been all packed up and are ready to go. Both going to America. One's for Barbara and one's for Natalie. So that's done. And guess what I found while I was packing them? So while I was getting the jewelry that was going in the packages, the beads I was talking about the other day for this design that I was looking for specifically because I knew I had them, I remembered them, and I was sure I had some left. I found some of the jewelry I previously made with them. It's these bracelets. Now I was aware and I did remember that I made these bracelets with the beads I was looking for, and I have also made one or two other things with them. I was just sure I still had some left, but obviously I must have just used them all. But these were the beads I was talking about. So the blue and the pink there, you can see they are bigger, of course I knew that, but still the design would work because the shape is literally perfect, pretty flat oval there. So yeah, that's where the beads are, at least some of them. Anyway, imagine what you find when you're not looking for it. So now that's done, I think I just have some editing to get back to before I then want to get some work done on some more designs. There's some little banging going on. Neighbours must be doing something. Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. So in love, I must confess. Say yes, say yes, say yes. I want my hands up in the air sometimes, saying, hey, oh, better let go. I'm so good, you know I love that cologne. Why do I want what I shouldn't? Why can't I leave it alone? Hi, so today is a different day. It's been a little bit since I last filmed. A few things have happened, plus we've had a heat wave, which we're kind of still having. I guess the worst days are over, but it's still pretty bad. And before anyone says anything, yes, the heat is really bad in the UK. I've lived half my life pretty much in a different country, and I've lived here the other half, and the UK heat, when it gets bad, it gets really bad. So I know the difference. There is something extra bad about the UK heat, and it's so humid as well, which is horrible. Anyway, I'm literally having to have fans all the time. I just turned it off to kind of not get the noise in the recording, hopefully. But what I am doing, that's also kind of a reason why I didn't really film tutorials and that the past few days, I guess, specifically because of the heat, because I have lights on me, like extra lights when I film my videos, tutorials more specifically, and I've just not been able to stand that. So that's why I haven't done it the past few days, but it's still hot, a little bit less, but I'm just gonna have to kind of try and work through it. So I'm just going to continue. I think where I left off, I think I did show you these ones that I ended up making, the earrings there. I did film this whole tutorial except the intro and outro because I cannot for the life of me think of a name for this design. So I'm going to have to get some help for that, ask for some help at some point from you guys. I don't know if this is going to go up before or after this or the other way around, whatever. So I'm not sure if help will be needed in this video or not, but otherwise I will be posting about it on my channel anyway to kind of get some suggestions if anyone has any ideas, because I'm blank. Anyway, I'm going to move on to some other designs because I did film that, except for the intro and outro. So I'm going to be focusing on filming this one here, so the wire kumihimo bracelet. This is, I think I did go through all the designs that I'm going to be working on. I don't really remember what I filmed, but if I repeat anything, I do apologise. But like I said, it's been a little bit since I filmed the previous parts. So I'm going to do that, and I've been going through my materials and stuff, figuring out what beads and wire and stuff to use. So I did literally just start this earlier today. I'm in the works of it. I've got a monster of wire on a kumihimo disc going on. So I've started out most of this stuff, if not all of it. I want to kind of just refamiliarize myself with the designs. So I want to ideally make them all first, and then I want to kind of film the tutorial and feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. So for this one, for the first one, I'm just refamiliarizing myself with. I'm using the silver wire, and I think I'm going to then use the rainbow hematite beads, faceted. I want the sparkle for this. And during looking for these beads, looking for beads for this design specifically, I found out that I'm getting a little bit low on some of my hematite beads, the different colours, sizes, and faceted and non-faceted. So I might have to rectify that at some point soon. I like having like all the sizes, faceted, non-faceted, all the colours basically, because they are really stable beads of mine. First of all, I really like them. Second of all, they're so useful because they tend to have much larger holes than most other gemstones and beads. So I prefer to basically have them all available to me all the time. So if nothing else, I always have those as an option, but I'm running a little bit low, which I don't like. So we'll see if we can solve it out at some point. So like I said, I started this, and this is the one I'm just making first. Ideally for the tutorial, I want to use copper wire. That's also something I always have to think about. It's kind of like, what materials am I using for the tutorials versus for the designs not in the tutorials. There's all that stuff you have to think about, because for instance the copper wire, you'll be able to see a little bit more clearly on the video. Or if I'm using silver wire for a tutorial, I tend to prefer to then make the tutorial with a different colour background, usually purple. So all those things you got to think about. So for the tutorial one, which I prefer to then do with the copper wire, I was thinking I'll come up with this colour palette. So a nice light blue for the larger beads. Again, they are faceted but in a larger way. And then some small hematite silver ones, also faceted. Actually, I'm realising that colourway is pretty similar to the previous earrings. So at least I know it works, because I do really like a light blue with the copper. That's very lovely. So that's gonna, pretty sure that's the plan. That's gonna be the tutorial, the copper wire, and these beads. So that is pretty much ready to go. I want to make a little bit more of this first. I don't put my eye out before I start filming the tutorial. Just like I said, so I'm a bit more comfortable with it. And then otherwise it's just a matter of getting on with filming it, and then obviously making the in-between steps. I'm working on that one. I think this one I also think I want to see about doing. I haven't decided on beads for that yet, but I think I'm going to stick with the kind of beads I use for this. These are actually 2-hole beads, so I think I need to have a look and see what I have of that. And really these earrings as well, I'm definitely going to be making wire kumihimo ones. Like I said, this one I'm not sure about the wire because I don't even know what beads I'm using yet. And then I definitely want to make a tutorial for these wire crochet bracelets and rings. Now I've already made both a copper and a silver version, so I think it's a matter of just seeing what beads I have and then go from there. This necklace I'm going to see about working on, get a tutorial done for, and just work out again. Oh yeah, I think I already did choose the beads, didn't I? It's just a matter of completely choosing what wire to use, and I'm definitely also planning on filming, let me just get the other one, a tutorial that's more of like a general one where I'm gonna kind of make a tutorial on how to use gallery wire. So different kinds of gallery wire as well. So these ones here, one is where you got the design kind of on both sides, and then the other one is where you have a straight edge on one side. So I was kind of thinking of doing a tutorial to show just possibilities of how to use gallery wire, depending obviously on the type of wire. So that I will be filming as well. So that's the plan. I'm hoping to get through all this kind of the next few days, however many days over the weekend. Hopefully I can get through it all. I'm gonna pretty much mainly focus on just doing this. I like kind of doing that so there's not too much distracting going on, like jumping from task to task, and I don't really do too well with that. So I like to kind of get some other things done and then kind of set some time off for purposely just doing this for say a few days if that's what I need or something. Normally I would also then like say do a time slot of maybe a few days or a day or whatever I feel like I need of designing process. In this case I kind of already have all these designs ready, but obviously if I have to do things from scratch I would then say okay, today is like a design day, or the next couple of days will be me just kind of experimenting and playing around with coming up with new designs, and then after that I would start the filming process of doing the tutorials. So that's the current plan, is these designs that I already have ready, I'm gonna hopefully film tutorials for all of them and see how it goes. So that is the plan currently. I'm gonna continue with this, like I said, let's do a bit more work on that so I feel completely comfortable for that next step of then starting to film it, and then just take it from there. And while I'm doing that I'm going to be watching some Bailey J vlogs, I think. It's either that or music is what I was feeling, but I did just do music a little bit ago, so I think I'm going to switch to watching some of her vlogs. I've followed her for many years. It's been a bit since I've watched any of hers. I kind of do things in batches. I tend to then watch the content for a while and then I don't watch it for quite a while because I kind of like that knowledge of having a bunch of content to then be able to kind of binge through. So it's been a bit since I watched any, so I kind of want to catch up now. That's the place I've gotten to. So I'm going to be doing that.
Splotchy, the colors aren't quite accurate, but it doesn't need to be that accurate really. It's just to get down that first layer of paint, because you always need multiple layers when paint. Zero spreadability otherwise. Well, not zero. A painful amount. We actually do want it a little on the peachy side. Oh, whoops. What a waste. I mean, I can add some yellow to it. Okay, so some of these are book samples of books they've done before, just for stuff they can do. You can do all kinds of finishings. Hope you like the book.
Oops. Slight problem. I guess I have to change my plans. These rainbow hematite beads, the 6mm that I was going to use, they don't fit 2 lengths of the wire through. So I have to either choose some other beads or use some larger ones, which I didn't want to. I wanted them to be the same. Might have to just go hunting for some other beads then to use for this silver wire one. Yay, I love it when that happens. Okay, so I found some other hematite, same size, also faceted. The only thing I will say with hematite beads is the faceted ones are always usually smaller in the hole size than the non-faceted. Sometimes that's kind of a bit the issue, and that's what caught me out this time. Because in general they do have larger holes, but the faceted always tend to be just a bit smaller holes than the non-faceted. So right, this one fits 2 lengths through, and this is, you can tell, purple one. I have a whole bag of those. And I have some smaller that are faceted as well, but these are 3mm. I was kind of hoping to use 4mm, but I don't have any faceted of those. Like I said, I'm a little bit low on some of my options for hematite, so thinking just have to use the 3mm ones, because I do prefer for both the larger and the smaller bead to be either both non-faceted or both faceted. Not always, but in this case I do. So I guess that's a new plan. So I'm using, that's annoying because like I said, these are hematite as well, like the rainbow ones were. Same size, both faceted, 6mm were the ones. The rainbow ones I could not fit 2 lengths through of the wire, but the purple ones I can. It's annoying that they're not the same, but oh well. So I guess that's a new plan. Right, so I reached the point where I need to add the bead, the first bead here. I was going to say let's just try again, but I did just try 2 lengths through. So it just worked, and if it doesn't work now, that just wouldn't make sense, would it? Right. And this fits through pretty easily as well. It's not like it's a tight fit, but the other one it wouldn't fit through. Kind of annoying when something's inconsistent like that. But of course it is gemstones and stuff like that, so that is part of the nature of it. And they're not like from the same sellers or anything, so no one's fault or anything. Well, if anything it's my fault, but for not checking and just assuming. Normally I check, I don't know why I didn't. I just assumed, because I do know that the faceted ones tend to run smaller on the hole size than the non-faceted. So I don't know why I didn't think to just double check before I stuck with the decision, but oh well, it's worked out this way now. Right, so that bead is on. I'll reattach the wires to our board so we can carry on with the Kumihimo wing. I'm not entirely sure either if I'm going to stick with watching the vlogs. I'm kind of feeling a little bit music-ish. Just kind of fancy listening to music and singing. I sometimes just have the urge, I just need to sing. And that's usually when I'll put music on, because I can't not sing when I'm listening to music. Right. So these are back on. We've attached the bead. Now I've just got to do a section of braid again before then doing the next step of the design. So now that I know this works, I'm going to work on this a little bit longer before I'm not sure if I'm going to start filming today or not. I actually don't even know what time it is, because I usually don't like to start something new or start filming something if I don't have that much kind of time left of the day, because I feel like I'm not going to be able to get that much done. In that case, I'd rather kind of prepare some more and then maybe start filming like first thing tomorrow or something. So kind of depends what time it is. It is a little bit on the later side. I might not actually start filming anything today, so I might just carry on working on this, and if I feel like swapping to another one, maybe just prepping that a little bit and then start filming tomorrow. Kind of more first thing, being able to start straight away. So yeah, we'll see. I'm a fighter, it's like I was born to be one. So I carried on with the braiding for a bit, and I've gotten pretty comfortable with the design again, so I kind of feel ready now to actually film the tutorial. But like I said, there wasn't that much time left of the day, of the work day anyway, so I just looked at the clock and didn't realize what time it was, and it's pretty much past finishing time. But just quickly, I also got the tub out with all my 2-hole beads, so I thought I was going to have a look through that, but I might just leave that till tomorrow, she says as she opens it up anyway. It's also a matter of just making sure the wire will fit with them, so the holes in whatever beads I would want to use are large enough. So I think I'll just leave looking at that for tomorrow, but just a little overview of what I have. Hoping I'm going to be able to find something I can use for that design there, which I'm considering kind of making a fidget jewelry because the waves on the outside, so if you add some small beads on that or something, but not fill it up completely, you could kind of move it around easily while you're wearing it. So that would make it an ideal fidget jewelry, which I have a playlist with designs that are kind of fidget related jewelry. So that could be an idea to kind of turn it into that as a possibility, as in you don't have to do that of course, but I'm considering that. So it's like a fidget rose, beaded fidget rose wirework bracelet. That just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Anyway, I'm going to look at that tomorrow, but I'm going to see about going downstairs, and I guess we'll sort out food. We're having wraps tonight with chicken with fajita spice on it, some carrot and cucumber. And I think I want to crochet tonight rather than carry on with the jewelry making, and just get straight back to it in the morning.
Hi there! And now it's up to all of us to live up to it. Yeah, it wasn't just him,
Morning, so it's the next day, and I pretty much just got up. I have my breakfast ready that I'm about to have, and then I think I'm just gonna get on with filming the wire kumihimo design I was working on yesterday, because I got in the mind of the design, so might as well kind of get that done straight away. So film at least the first bit, because obviously I have to make the in-between then. And then I think I'll have a look at those beads I got out, the 2-hole beads, and then we'll take it from there. And I'm also pretty sure I have a Grizzly True Crime episode to catch up on from yesterday, so I think I'll do that while I eat breakfast and get cracking on filming that first bit.
This question, I know, okay. Lately I am acing those quizzes, Sarge. If you haven't checked out True Crime with the Sarge's channel, and especially his community.
Alexa, lights on. Okay. Alexa, ceiling off. Okay. So I've finished filming the part of this kumihimo braid design. This one, the one that I'm doing. And I've got to the point where I now need to make more or less the rest of the piece before just filming the next step, which is like the final part of it. So I filmed that. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would. Usually always does. I always underestimate things. Literally always, and I don't know why I don't learn, but I keep doing that. Anyway, it is lunchtime. I was actually a little bit past lunchtime because I really just wanted to get that done before I stopped for lunch, because babies need feeding. I need feeding as well. I'm going to have my fruit, delicious fruit. Plus, well, even though the worst days of heat are over, they were a few days ago, it's still warm, and it's just, I'm constantly turning the fan on and off whenever I'm filming a clip. Sometimes the clip is like 10 minutes long, so I sit without the fan for 10 minutes or whatever while I'm filming, because obviously I don't want the fan noise on video. As soon as I then stop filming, it's like back on with the fan, because I'm like sweating as soon as the fan is off. So it's warm, but then I have the lights on me, so that is lovely. But anyway, that's just the way it is. So I'm gonna just pack a few things away so they're not tempting for maybe some plastic bags and that, mainly because of Mr. Gizmo, and he's probably also pretty desperate for some lunch, so I'm gonna go get them some lunch, do dishes, that's usually what I do, and then do my lunch, and then I'll come back up and carry on with the next thing. Till the love runs out, my mind made up, and I can't let go. So lunch is done, and I'm gonna see about having a look through my 2-hole beads and see if there's anything we can find that I can use. because ideally, like I said before, to use what I have rather than having to get something new. I'm trying to do that mostly. So let's have a little look, shall we? Alright, so this is the design that I'm looking at. For this I used some 2-hole beads that are round, but they're actually flat on one side, so it doesn't mean that it has to be like that, but just something similar that will work. These I'm positive were from a bead box many years ago when I was sent those. So this is what I have. I organized all my 2-hole beads into this tub. Let's have a look. There's also the concern, because ideally I want to use the same wire. This is 0.8mm, I can tell. So I have some 0.8mm handy, because I'm a little concerned that maybe some of the holes in these will be on the smaller side. So obviously I ideally need that wire to be able to go through the holes. So I guess let's just, first of all, just try and see if it'll even go through these. Otherwise there's no point in counting them. Oh, it actually does go through more easily than I expected. Nice. I do really like these. I forget what these are called. I've had them for ages, and I really like these, especially the first ones, because they've got that kind of rainbow coating. That's always my instant kind of favorite usually. They're also really nice in that more reddish color, and I have some just solid colors more or less. So actually those are an option, and they are round like those. They just don't have the flat back, but that doesn't matter. I think they're a little bit smaller, but again, it doesn't really matter. So they could be an option. I have a feeling I already found the beads that I'm going to use. Anyway, I'm thinking I'm going to stay away from the other shapes. So whatever you would call this shape, like a wave or a weird S. Not that you can't use it, you could use any shape. I'm just thinking for what I'm going to be doing. These as well, I'm kind of curious about. I really like the effect on these. They are like printed with a pattern on top of the bead. Really cool and so different than anything I've seen before. Now one of the holes is free. Let me just see if it would go through there. Oh, it does. Interesting. I do really like these beads, but I've never really been able to use them because I've never thought of what to use them for, but I do really like them. It would actually be really cool in a shape like that. Anyway, that's not what we're doing. And I do have a fair few of them. I think there's, several strands. 4 strands of them. I was gifted these a long time ago by Beadsmith. I really do like them. They could be an option as well, really. So there's those round ones, or these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided. So they're flat on both sides, but like I said, that would work fine. It doesn't have to be like a round shape or anything. They're also a bit larger than the round ones, so they would maybe fit a bit more size-wise. Yeah, they would actually, with the ones I used for the previous design. Not that they have to in any way, but I think stay away from these like pyramid ones. And what are these, oval-ish? These would be kind of cool actually. They are like oval but with a point on either end. And it's a nice colour, and considering I'd be making obviously roses in the design because that's what you do with the wire, it would work quite nicely. Be a little separator for the roses. It's an idea. I have a few left of actually the ones that I used for the original bracelet I made, but only 3. So plus I would want to use different beads, so it looks different in the tutorial. I have a couple of examples. Actually, I have these. They could probably work quite well as well. They are also round, but they are flat on both sides. And they are quite nice as well. They are like antique-ish colour, but there's a couple of different colours mixed in with each other. And that's kind of just how they came. Very gold style mix of colours there, but they're quite nice. Well, maybe the first thing to do is test the hole. I would think since the other ones fit through, yeah they do, that they all should fit, because I think that's pretty streamlined, if I'm not mistaken. So they could be an option, and they would stand out nicely against maybe silver wire, I would say. Or you could do bare copper and then maybe oxidize it. That would be interesting. So I think we've hit the problem. Maybe I have too many choices now, and it's the question of deciding what. I like these, like all these other ones here, but in a more of a reddish colour, like a metallic red. And I'm thinking again against the roses of the wire design there. Decisions. That went in the wrong place. This is sometimes the problem with having some stuff, is then if there's too many choices, I sometimes really struggle actually deciding. So the question is, it's the same, I have made this before, like I said, obviously because you're looking at it. But this is the only one that I made, and it's so many years ago. So one, I would want to remake this before I film the tutorial so I can get re-familiarize myself with the design and kind of feel comfortable making the tutorial, filming it. So obviously I'm going to make one before I film, and then I'm going to film one for the tutorial. So there's going to end up being another 2 copies of this. So I'll probably make one in copper wire with some other beads, and one in silver wire with some other beads. So I need to pick out some beads to fit the silver wire and some beads to fit the copper wire. So I'm definitely leaning towards these round ones, those 5-sided ones, or these flat round ones as well could be a nice choice. I think that's what I'm deciding between. The question is just narrowing it down to the final choice. So I can't decide what beads I want to use right now. I have to think a little bit more, probably just get the silver wire out as well and sit with it in front of me and kind of see how I'm feeling. So I think I'm just going to do that for a bit, and probably also start making the design so I can try and remember how I made it in the first place. I think also I'm going to see about starting to remake these. I guess also pick out some materials to the dangles. I do already have the main bead there, but yeah, I think I'll be doing that for a little while, possibly the rest of the day. There's not that much left every day, so I don't want to get going a whole lot with a bunch of filming, because I can only do so much with the time I have left. So I think I'm just going to play around with some of these designs, and I'll update you when there's something to update. So it's the next day, and I've worked a bit on some of the designs here for the, what I kind of end up calling fidget beaded rose, something along those lines design. I ended up making basically another one. I haven't shaped it yet, but here I then added some beads to the actual wave, so it becomes the kind of more fidgety part. So I'm comfortable with filming that. I have started this one here, earrings, and just started to use for the purple beads. I thought copper would have gone as well, but I kind of was just feeling silver more for these, and I've gotten to the point where I'm comfortable enough to show this part, and then I would like to basically make the 2 parts alongside each other, so that's why I stopped here. So I'm just going to start filming, and then I'll carry on making them. I'm comfortable with doing the filming part for it now. And then finally I also just worked on these wire crochet pieces, both bracelets and rings, and I was pretty sure I remembered how I did them, but I just wanted to kind of double check, so I just made a little sample piece, and that's confirmed that I was right in my thinking and it's worked out how I thought. So again, I'm comfortable with doing both tutorial for the bracelets and the rings, which I think is a lovely set. I do really like this. Very kind of elegant, intricate looking, but like most of the things, it's not really that complicated to make. So that is the point where I'm at. So now it's next day, and first thing in the morning really, I got up, had breakfast, so I'm literally just gonna crack on with recording and get as much filmed as I can. And by the way, I want to tell you, last night when I was in bed trying to go to sleep, all of a sudden a design popped in my head, kind of just out of nowhere, an idea. So that is something I want to try and work on pretty soon. I prefer when I come up with something to try and get it physically then done as soon as possible, so I don't end up forgetting, but also so it's more fresh in my head. It's a ring, wirework ring. I think would be quite cute if it works out like it is in my head. So I should be able to also kind of fit that in somewhere. It shouldn't take too long, you'd think. So I'm excited about trying that out at some point. I don't know if that's going to be today, probably not, but soon anyway. So yeah. Oh, by the way, I ended up deciding on the beads, obviously, because I'm using the pink ones here for this one. And then I decided, if you can kind of tell, on the blue ones that were right next to them, because I also kind of think that they go nice together. Not that they are in the same piece, but just as like the cohesion sometimes I think about for different pieces, in almost like a little bit of a collection style, I guess it would more be classed as. So that's what I ended up going for. Plus I was also thinking, as I was making this bracelet, I obviously start on one end and start, in this case I'm just graduating the size of the roses. So I started with the smaller, and as I was making that first part, I was really liking how that was turning out and thought it'd be really cute just making a whole row or bracelet with just alternating between the bead and the rose, bead and rose, and maybe keeping them smaller so they're a little bit more on the rosebud side of it, or again graduating size, but literally just have that as a bracelet. That would be really cute as well, or even a ring if possible. So I'm probably going to make another version of that as well, to just include that. You don't have to do the wavy part or the fidget part or anything, just the roses and beads themselves I think would make a really nice piece as well. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I'm gonna just crack on with filming. Alexa, ceiling off.
Okay.
Alexa, lights on.
Okay.
Hello again. So it's again not the same day. I have filmed for the past few days. I thought all the filming that I wanted to do like right now was going to be able to do in one day, but like usual I over or underestimated, however you want to put it. So I've been filming the past few days and I still have a bit left that I want to get done. I guess I'll start with showing you what I did. I think I did this one first. So that was the kind of fidgety rose one, or that I thought could become a fidgety rose bracelet. I ended up creating these two. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. I'm super glad actually I chose these beads, because I think they look really nice together and just kind of almost seems like it's part of a collection, I think. So even that goes with them as well. So I finished filming that one. Then I moved on to these earrings, the wire crochet ones, and I filmed that in silver wire, and they turned out like this. I'm really pleased with them as well. I really like this design. I think it just seems so classy. I really like both of them. That's finished filming. I then did these wire crochet bracelets because I kind of thought I was in the wire crochet space and headspace rather and mood, so I thought I would just go straight onto those. And I then did a copper one but with green beads. I was looking through because I have of 3mm bicones. I have like a mix of different colors and a few beads, and I usually kind of just go through it and see what I have and what I can find that I want to use basically. So at first I kind of was leaning towards like a pink, but then I saw the green and I thought maybe see what that would look like with the copper, and I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to do that. And then I found all the green beads and it turns out it wasn't enough. I didn't have enough of one, so then I found I had two green colors, so like a lighter one and a darker one, and I thought, you know what, why don't I put them together? And I actually really like how it's turned out. And I just started thinking, why don't I use green more? I use it occasionally, but it's more kind of like an afterthought for me. I very much don't tend to gravitate towards green for some reason, but also with copper I think this looks really nice actually, and I think out of all of them it might be my favorite. So on from that I kind of thought, well, it makes sense to go straight on to the ring, of course. So those are the ones I originally made, and then I made that one in green as well because I did have enough beads once I mixed the two different greens there. So that's what the ring looks like, and I think they all make a lovely set. And while making that would have been the bracelet, I actually thought of a version of this design for a pair of earrings, so I will probably be making that as well. Unfortunately not with the green beads, I'm pretty sure, because I don't have enough for that, but try and see if I have more of the other colours so I can at least make them match with them. And these I think I finished off yesterday, so they're done filming. I have started filming wire kumihimo one as well, which I only did the part kind of showing how it's made, so now I gotta just make basically the rest of the piece and obviously then film that, finish filming that. So I gotta do that, and I did also start a silver one, so I gotta finish both of those before I can finish filming that tutorial. So I have that, and I did also start, everything is falling down. Anyway, I did also start a different wire kumihimo. I haven't started filming this yet because I literally only just kind of did this bit to refamiliarize myself with the design, and if I can get close enough you can see, that's going to be the result. Like a hollow wire kumihimo braid. I really like that, so I'm going to obviously finish this and then start filming that as well. And that's going to turn into a necklace, which originally that design I made back when I did my book. I made it for the book, but it was one of, I think it was 2 or something that I ended up picking out and not including in the book because I had a couple too many designs and that was one of them. So I'm due to still film that, and then obviously I have a bunch more other stuff, but out of the things I had kind of pre-planned that I wanted to do in this filming session of multiple days. But after saying all that, today I'm taking a break from filming and from anything really because we are going to the cinema. So the new Jurassic film is out and we're going to go see that. I like the Jurassic franchise. The original is of course far superior. The first one is absolutely the best. The newer ones, they're okay. They're not my favourite, but they're okay to watch. So I'm curious to see what this new one is going to be like, also with different actors and stuff. So that's what we're going to see here at, it starts at, I think it was 1:10. We prefer going to earlier showings, means less people and stuff. So usually anyway. And it did come out last week I think, so it's not completely fresh, but there will be a few people. But that's what we're going to go do. So we are leaving fairly soon, so I just need to get dressed and I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to wear. I'm debating about 2 different dresses. It's been a very long time since I've worn any dresses, but I kind of just feel a bit like it, so I'm just going to see if I fancy one of those. Dress up a little bit rather than just the usual whatever clothes. So this is the first dress. Quite like that print. I got it a couple weeks ago for my birthday, and I think it's pretty cute. Of course, not these slippers. And And this is the other dress, which I was kind of maybe leaning a bit more towards before putting them on. Of course, again, not those shoes, slippers rather. All that colour, and partly because I was thinking bringing this bag, which I think kind of goes pretty well with it. Rainbow and rainbow. And as for the shoes, I've got to show you them. These are my favourite shoes ever. They are so freaking adorable. Little cats all over them. So I'm just going to put them on regardless what else I'm wearing. So I think this is what I'm doing with the cutie shoes. I just fancy the colour today, even though the other one is cute as well. And as for the hair, I just got out of the shower not long ago. I'm just letting it air dry, like I always do. So I think we pretty much need to go. So it's the next morning and I thought I would just update you on the film. It was alright. Obviously nothing's going to beat the old original films, but I actually thought it was better than the Jurassic World ones, because they're okay, but I actually enjoyed it a bit more than them, I think. So yeah, that was nice seeing that in the cinema. Otherwise it's getting hot again. We had a few days where it was still warm, but it was more manageable. But this weekend it's getting hot again and you can feel it already. And we're talking in the 30s, and that's just a no for me. And honestly, it's not so much the heat, it's the humidity. It's the humidity that is the worst part. If it wasn't for that, the heat wouldn't be as bad. But yeah, anyway, nothing we can do about it. If only we could turn the temperature down, but it doesn't work like that. Otherwise, what I'm going to be doing today is I want to see about prepping this weekend's video, because I want to get video up this weekend, a tutorial ideally. And I have more that I wanted to film before that, but like I said, everything takes longer than I always expect it to. Even though I know it will and it keeps happening, I still keep gaslighting myself, you could say. So what I'm going to do instead of continuing to film right now is to see about picking out which one I want to use for this weekend. And then I need to do B-roll and photos of the things. And I think I've decided it's going to be these bracelets. So the fidgety wirework rose bracelets. I'm going to see about prepping that tutorial. And I then also of course need to edit the video and then prep the video. So everything like thumbnail, and if I'm selling anything, then photos and that for the shop and listing, all that jazz. The usual jazz that takes, again, longer than I always expect it to. So I'm going to be doing that today, as much of that as I can. I know I'm going to have to keep working on that tomorrow, because like I said, it takes a while. It's just going to be these, and I actually wanted to make another 2 bracelets without the fidgety part on, because I really like the way that looks as well, just to show us examples, so you don't have to add that fidgety part if you don't want to. So I just need to make those 2 as well before I then start doing the photos and b-roll and all that. So I'm definitely not going to get all of this done today. This will be today and tomorrow, hopefully just today and tomorrow, so I can get the video up and out hopefully for members tomorrow, and then fully out Saturday. But we'll see how it goes. Otherwise I might have to push stuff a day. And otherwise I have an order I need to pack, which is a signed copy of my book, and I'm pretty sure this is the last one I have available. So unfortunately I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get hold of some more, because I have to order them from the publisher and obviously pay the like wholesale-ish price. So I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to do that, but that's at least going to be the last one for now. So I gotta just prep that so that can get shipped out tomorrow. I don't think there's too much else because, like I said, the video prep stuff is going to take more than today, so there's no point in planning for anything else really, other than obviously packaging this order. So, oh yeah, I forgot, by the way, in this video I wanted to just make sure that I brought that up because I realized I forgot to come back around to the Japanese show that we watched a little bit ago. I forgot what it was called, and I now remember. It was Alice in Borderlands, and we finished watching that and we started Daredevil instead. All 4 seasons, including the new one. We literally just finished that last night, and oh boy, I was ready to be done with that. No offense, it was alright, but I'm not a Marvel person. But anyway, that's more my husband that's into that stuff. It was just very draggy. Anyway, the Japanese show was good. Definitely enjoyed that. The first season was best out of the 2. But there is a 3rd one coming, and I'm pretty sure it's September, so it's actually kind of soon. So it's pretty good timing that we actually watched it. It's not too far off, which is crazy to think about how far into the year we are. Anyway, it's gonna be bloody Christmas any day. Anyway, if you're into that kind of thing, Korean shows, Japanese shows, and that, I do recommend that one if you haven't seen it already. We will definitely be watching the 3rd season. And we are also, by the way, going to watch the new Squid Game. We haven't watched that yet. That came out while we were watching the Daredevil, and we don't really like jumping between shows during shows. We prefer to finish a show before we start a new one. It's fine having breaks of like films and stuff, but I don't like mixing shows in that way. So we're definitely eager to watch the Squid Game, although it is the last one, so except for them doing the American version, obviously we'll be checking that out when it comes, but for now, because that is definitely a very good show. Yeah, we also have some others to catch up on, some new ones, so I think that's going to be it for now. It's going to end it here. I think I have a fair bit, but it's also a little fuzzy footage wise, but I'm just going to see when I start editing, I guess. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and looking a little bit into the routine of me filming videos, tutorials really, mainly, even though I didn't finish. And like I said, I underestimate every time how long things will take, but I do that with everything. That's just a chronic thing for me. I don't think that's going to change. I'm just accepting it. But ayo, yeah, so I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to like, share and subscribe, of course, and also if you want to, you can join the channel members. You can join Patreon, have a look at least, and there's early access, exclusive content and more. And also I just want to mention on Patreon, if you don't want to become a member of the channel or a Patreon member, paying member, you can join Patreon for free, on the free level. If you don't want to join any other things, but say you're curious about the extra member content that I do, on Patreon actually you can purchase the individual content, whether it's videos or something. You can just buy the individual videos that are meant to be for members only, and all you have to do is be a free member on Patreon. So just in case you weren't aware but you were a bit curious, you didn't want to commit to say a monthly subscription type thing, you can literally look at the individual pieces of content on there. So I only realized that myself recently as I've looked into the Patreon thing more. I'm still learning. So anyway, I just wanted to share that information. So whether that's tutorials or other content, because it's a bit of a mix. So yeah, you can check that out. Of course, links will be in the description box down below. Otherwise, like I said a few times, I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.